You're listening to the Get.Out.N.Drive.Podcast, fueled by AMD, with your hosts, John, Custom Car Nerd Meyer, and Jason, Old Car Guy Carr. We'll be bringing you gearheads everything you never wanted to know about cars and why they should be on the road and not in your garage. Are you ready to get out and drive?
Welcome back to another episode of the Get.Out.N.Drive podcast, fueled by AMD. I am John, Custom Car Nerd Meyer.
And I'm Jason, Old Car Guy Carr.
Anybody's been watching anything having to do with automotive news lately, your feed has probably been jammed with our guest today. His screen name on his social media is Bobby Adams World. We have Bobby Adams with us today. He is the person that missed out on bidding on a 56 Continental. And I see a lot of people have posted about this issue, and I want to make sure that Bobby was available to let us know what's going on from the horse's mouth.
Bobby, tell us who you are and what it is that you do for a living. What makes your mark here on the internet today?
Okay, yeah. How's everyone going? And nice meeting you guys, Jason and John here. So my name is Bobby Adams. Bobby Adams III, actually. And I have been a classic car dealer my entire life. I'm actually third generation. My grandpa started doing classic cars in the 50s when the cars from the 30s and stuff were considered antique. So he's been around for all from the beginning of all the auctions, from Barrett Jackson to Cruise, everything. So he really made his mark. And then my dad got into the business. He was doing a lot of the muscle cars, Corvettes and stuff. And then I grew up around it. I've been going to classic car shows and auctions since I was a little kid. My parents even met in a Corvette club. So if it wasn't for cars, I wouldn't be here. I've been doing cars my entire life. So like being growing up around it, I was flipping cars in high school. I've never really had a real job. It was always doing cars. So I was flipping cars in high school and then started helping restore my dad. And then I just got it. I loved buying and selling. It was my favorite thing. So I connected with when I was younger, with a Corvette dealer in town and helped him out. And then I was doing stuff with my dad. And then I ended up opening my own dealership. So when eBay started, I got big on just doing a lot on eBay and then just following the trends as they go.
So you're certainly no spring chicken to automotive auctioning and how the process works, correct?
No, like I say, I've been there. I have pictures of myself as a little kid at these auctions. So, yep, I bought a lot of cars.
You're watching the Get Out and Drive podcast, and I'm Jason with AMD. Check this out. Blow the horn so bad. I can't.
I've been in the auto restoration industry for over 35 years. Man, have things changed. I remember scouring salvage yards to get body panels for rust repair, or my last resort, poor quality aftermarket sheet metal. But then I found AMD. AMD is trusted by restoration experts for providing high quality body panels, rust repair parts, glass, trim, and weather stripping. When I'm restoring an OBS GM truck, a Mopar muscle car, or a Ford Denside pickup, AMD is my go-to resource for reliable, high-quality parts. Visit autometaldirect.com and use the code GOND for a 10% discount exclusively for our listeners for a limited time. AMD, authentic restoration, modern quality.
When you talk about auctions, we're not just talking about buying and selling. Like, we're talking about just the whole experience, being around it. Don't take this the wrong way. You don't look like a spring chicken. You've got some experience under your belt with life and with these auctions. Tell us some highlights, some experiences, some great experiences that you've had, and maybe some specific cars that they're just so memorable that you've bought over the years or that you've sold even.
Memories of buying stuff, the fun, it's just the whole experience, the fun of going to these auctions with your friends. And I take my family with me, my wife, and or she was my girlfriend at the time, going to the auctions. But going to auctions, buying sometimes truckloads of cars. And I really like going to like the smaller auctions. It's kind of my favorite. When before really the internet was out there, there's a lot of like small auctions all over the place. I really loved the cruise auctions back in the day because people would bring, there's cars you never see, like collections coming out. And I would buy all kinds of cool, like I really love Cadillacs and Lincolns, like the big American cars. So I bought some really cool cars out there. I would sell. I wouldn't sell that much at auction, but there's a kind of the heyday of Bear Jackson. There's times me and my friends would kind of partner up on cars, and we'd send like 30, 40 cars through the auction at once. Wow. And that was pretty crazy at the time. And you weren't competing much with the online stuff. So yeah, it was like almost every car would do crazy money. So it was a lot of fun time. The specific cars, it's hard to. I've done so many cars, it's hard to like really pick out the specific ones. There was one actually in Monterey, California. I bought a 70 Hemi Cuda clone convertible that went through there, and I bought it for like, they said it was a clone, and I bought it like $35,000 or $39,000, which was actually really cheap for that car. As a clone, I get it home and I started looking at the numbers, like what was this car originally, and everything started coming up as a real Hemi Cuda, from the VIN number to the number on the engine to everything. And I'm like, this can't be, like someone made a mistake. And long story short, we ended up getting some professionals that knows Mopars. There's some one guy, I can't remember his name, Govier, got him involved. And turns out some guy was repopping these things back in the 90s and making, trying to scam people, making real Hemi Cudas and put them out in the market. And there's 5 of them, and 4 of them got re-VIN, but this one never did. And it was like the ultimate clone, you could say. And that was a crazy story and everything. And that car I sold on eBay the first day, and it sold for, I did really well on that car, but it was a pretty crazy story. So
yeah, if anybody you want looking at your stuff, it's Galen Glovier. He is incredible. Did you say that car got aftermarket data tag?
Whoever did the 5 cars did them to basically fool people, but they went and stamped. They got original VIN tags and stamped them and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, there's like a full numbers matching Hemi Cuda in real eyes. I didn't sell it as that, obviously. I sold as ultimate clone, and
sure. Wow.
Over it.
That's a whole other story in itself. Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
that's bordering on jail time for builder situation.
Yeah, I think the guy did go to jail for that one, but the story I heard. But
wow, that is some craziness.
Yeah, but
as a used car dealer myself, I attend auctions. I've been doing auctions now for almost 20 years, and like when you're doing it as a used car late model stuff, there's generally not much that jumps out at you. There's a few experiences that you have, win some, you lose some, make money, lose money, whatever it happens to be. But as you roll on, and I guess what we're building up to here is the experiences that you have in your business creates opportunity to not do the same things over and over again. So when guys go to the auction, we see people at the auction all the time. How they bid, their practices. You get to know, should I be waiting to the last minute and jump in there? Or do I be right on top of the bidder as they get next bid and just keep rolling on and rolling on? Have you experienced it in over the years? Do you have a certain bidding I'm not going to ask you to reveal it to all the people out there, but do you find that you have certain bidding practices when you're going and looking at certain cars? Like, do you know how to read those auctioneers?
Oh yeah, you have to. There's every auction's different. You got the really fast-paced auctions where you have to pay attention. And then you got the slower pace of like Bonhams or RM, where it's like very slow and it's very clear, who's bidding, who's not. But at the fast-paced auctions, yeah, you do. There's times where if you start bidding too fast, they'll run you up like there's no one else bidding against you. And
ghost bidders.
That is one thing you really have to be careful for. So I don't go crazy. I get my bid in there to show I'm serious. Then I kind of hold back and see where the auction's going, and just kind of feel the room. See where usually when someone's bidding, the ringmen are out running after them, and you don't see it happening. You get that feeling, well, who's out there? So you have to pay attention. I guess the number one rule with classic car auctions is don't drink and bid at those auctions. That is that is the number one rule, because then you lose, you're just getting too involved, and that's when issues happen. So that's probably my number one rule to go into. I don't take advantage of the free bar until afterwards.
Right. Yeah, don't let your ego get involved, and don't listen to the strokers that are behind you, the pretty ladies with their hand on your back.
Yeah, now there's plenty of times where I got off on a car, and there's a particular car over the weekend. I was on the car at 25, and then all of a sudden I went to 30 really fast, and I just started walking away, and all of a sudden I'm back in at 25 again. So like,
how do you think that happened, or you don't?
Yeah,
know?
I know. Yeah, that was something. Yeah, exactly.
Good gravy. Well, I know that you're like you have explained your background and everything, and you're certainly not new to this whole situation. And what went wrong on the video that you posted? I mean, it seemed like a regular day. You're out there, you're bidding, you're doing your thing. Some things happen, some things don't, some things go your way. Kind of play us through what happened in your head. What were you thinking? And kind of play us through the day.
Yeah, so it was actually the last day, and that was the second to last car through. So I have a social media girl that does my social media, helps me, but she follows me around, and I like to get content, educate people, and it's kind of showing behind the scenes of what I do. That's what the purpose of it all was for. And honestly, I went back there to pay for another car I bought earlier in the sale, a few days earlier, and I saw these two Lincolns going through, and I'm like, those were not on the list, and I think they were reruns. So I stayed to watch them. And there's a white one and a black one. I like the black one better. Looked it over. I needed a couple little things, but pretty nice cars. So I'm bidding on that car. And it got on the block. They were trying to get bids in the 40s, 35, and then it went down to 20, and then it just went up to 30 and quit. And they were trying to fight for bids. I don't know if even they had any money at all, to tell you the truth. Like at the 30, I think, because they were trying to get someone to bid again. And then they were looking for 32. I said 31. They took the bid, and then the owner was in the front row, and they were really working him to drop his reserve because he had a higher reserve on it. I don't know what it was, but it was a high reserve, and it took a while. I mean, that first video was shortened up, but it took a while. I mean, they were really working the guy, and we're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and it felt like a long time, but it was probably like a minute, but it's a long time when you're sitting there. And they lifted the reserve, and they called out any more bidders, 32, 33, 32. And no one was bidding. And then they said, took the hammer, sold. And right at that same moment, it was like one of the ringmen yelled out for a bid, but he already had the hammer dropped. And went, sold 2, 3. Like sold came out, the hammer dropped, and then he just started picking it up again. And that's when I lost them. Like, you sold, dropped the hammer. And then they tried to belittle me by saying, "Would you watch the morning announcements?" I'm like, well, no, I wasn't there that morning. I don't know what the morning, I know there's some special rule that I didn't hear. And I'm like, but that's not, he said sold. Because I've been in a position of thinking too long and then raising my hand in that same kind of instant thing. And they went with, they already sold it too late. You shouldn't have waited that long. And that was my fault. I shouldn't have waited that long. If you're interested, get your bid in there, because they were working that car for a while, like what takes that long to think about it? Well, later on in the video, I did watch morning announcements from that exact, auction that day. And they said, when that hammer drops, it's transferred, ownership is transferred. And that's, when back in the old days, the cruise auctions and all those auctions, like it was hammers, slams, that car is sold. There's no question about it. And I just felt that I was taking advantage. Like that was BS. And then I felt like, looking back, someone made a comment earlier, actually last night, about how it went up a couple more bids. Well, who was the third person? Because I think it ended at like 34, but then there'd have to be another person bidding, and then they're trying to get me to bid again. And I'm like, I'm not playing this game. I was just upset. And afterward, well, you could have gone in the office and complained, but I would have got nowhere with that. I just been paid more money for the car, basically. So it just I didn't like the way it happened, and I thought it was ridiculous. And we posted that experience. I had no idea it was take off like that it did. It wasn't my intention. I was just trying to like get content of what it's like bidding, and then that happened. So
wow. And the person that had bid above you, the one or possibly two mysterious people that had bid above you, were they internet bidders or floor bidders?
it had to be a floor bid. And again, I was so right there. It was like to my right, because I like to stand up kind of on stage to kind of watch what's going on. But that time I lost what was going on because I was heated in the moment. But they took it from someone in the back. But then again, I got to rewatch it again because someone said, well, how did a third bidder get involved if, possibly? So I don't know if they ran it again, to get him a run up again. I don't know, but I have to rewatch it again.
Wow. Well, that's a sticky situation.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a new bidder there too. It's just, I bid there. I have a low number there. I've been going there since I was a kid, and there's auctions, and I just thought it was not a good thing to do,
So if you guys are a little bit lost and don't know exactly what we're talking about, I'm going to get Paul to run that clip right now. We'll insert that and let you guys see, and we'll do the condensed version just so that everybody knows exactly what was going on.
31. 31. Got 31. 32. Reserve is off. 31 bid. You're going to get two. I have $31,000 bid. You're going to get 32,000. Sold to.
Hammer goes down. He says sold. Takes a couple more bids. And clearly you can see Bobby's upset, as I would be. A few profanities come out there, but nevertheless, we know that the hammer comes down. And I guess what I wanted to go with this and where I wanted to go with this was rules of the auction. And so I Googled it. I know that there's AAA rules at an auction for arbitration. There's rules for everything that most auctions follow those same set of criteria and what it is that people say. And I'm going to read to you what it says here on Google. It says a vehicle is officially sold at an auction when the auction bangs their hammer after the bidding stops, indicating the highest bidder, which in this case, in my opinion, was Bobby, has purchased the item. So when the time came that hammer went down, he didn't just hammer and take more bids. He hammered, he said sold, and yet he took two more bids, neither of which were Bobby's. And that's where the questions start coming out in the comments to say, well, one thing I need to make clear is that when you go to an auction, the auctioneer has the final say, period, regardless of what happens. That's usually the general rule of thumb. Meaning, when that hammer goes down, he says sold, it's done. You missed out, too bad for you. The problem here is he said sold, he hammered down, took two more bids, and then sold the car to somebody else. So that's where the heat comes in. That's where Bobby got upset, justifiably, as far as I'm concerned. Being in that position myself, I've lost bids, like he said earlier, when you're just a little too late to either raise your hand or click that button on an online bid, and they take somebody else and they sell it. You snooze, you lose. Bobby wasn't snoozing here. He was on the block. He was taking his bid. He wanted to buy that car. Nobody else wanted it. Why did they wait so long, and why did they take bids after the fact? So I know that there's going to be people come up on both sides of this. But by the rights or by the rules of the auction, when the hammer comes down and the auctioneer says sold, that should be the final say, as far as I'm concerned. Bobby, I know that you've lived this. You've been a part of that. You, in the heat of the moment, you had some few choice words, but at the end of the day, you know that you don't have much to stand on because it's the auction against you. And
exactly,
it's like Vegas. It's like Vegas when you go to an auction. The house always wins.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So as we've kind of entered into the discussion talking about right or wrongs, obviously you feel wronged in this position. But where did you go after this all transpired? You did not get the car. The auction says, I'm sorry, this is the rule. We sold it to Joe Blow over here for the 33 or 34, whatever it was. What happened after that? What happened after that all went down on the block?
Well, so you saw a friend of mine went up to one of the ringmen that I was dealing with, and he tried to say that he never said sold, which is you can see it right there, like clear, hear it, and even I watched back the video again. Even the owner of the auction company was sitting on the stage watching this whole thing happen, and just didn't say nothing. I was upset. I mean, what am I going to do? I could have fought it, and I just, I was just upset about it and frustrated. End of the day, it's just another car, but we were just talking about social media, and I'm just going to post this and see what people think about it, because I could have gone up there and fought it with everybody, but where is that going to get me? I know it wasn't going to get me anywhere because they're pretty stubborn, and we know that they're stubborn now because look at all this stuff's happening, and all they do is send me a generic letter from their experience team, not even from one person in the auction, but signed the auction from the experience team saying that this is the way it is. Look at section 17. So after the auction, I just went in the office and paid for my other car and left, and was still irritated about it. That's when I pulled up the video, and my girl filmed me watching the video. I'm like, did I miss something? And I didn't, and I just chalked it up as to another day. But I figured I'm just going to share this with people and see what they think, So and then it snowballed and blew up into what it was. So what it is now.
It's definitely not something to get into the legality of it, but I know shill bidding exists, and it's really scary. I've been involved. I've been in your shoes. I've been in auto restoration industry for more than 30 years, and primarily I was doing cleanup on cars that were headed to auction. And I've been at an auction, sold cars at an auction. I understand the whole process as much as you do. And it's scary for me to sit there and watch that because I've been there as a seller. I've been there as a buyer. And it's scary on both sides to not know fully what's going on, and your money to get there, your money, everything is completely out of your control for the next 10 minutes. And that's entirely scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like Bobby said too, is if you're going to sit there and you're going to fight with them, what are you fighting for? You're fighting with them to give them your money. How bad do you really want? I mean, yes, you're in the business. They don't know your business specifically. They don't know that you didn't have a buyer lined up for that specific car. That it could have been a quick in and out for you. This is your livelihood. They don't care. Because guess what? They're going to get their seller fee. They're going to get their buyer fee. They're going to get their whatever's on the other end. And they're making money. They don't give a shit who they sold it to. They're just going to move on to the next guy. Right? So at some point, you've got to say, okay, we've in my business, we've been to the point where we've not gone to an auction for a while. We've been the pig-headed guys that say, you know what? You're going to treat me like that as a buyer? I'm not going to buy from you. There's lots of other auctions around. Granted, in a small area where we live, there are only few that we get to go to, but nevertheless, you got to suck up your pride at some point. Is this going to affect you going back to Mecum and buying other cars in the future?
I guess we'll wait and see that one, because I don't look at the company that I'm trying. There's a car I'm like, I don't care who has it. If they're gonna be petty and try to ban me or something like that, we'll see about that. But I don't think I deserve that either. I just tell my story. I had no intention of what happened. I just put out my experience, and the people took it to where they took it. So it wasn't never my intention for I'm just going to go get out Mecum. I just want to see what people think. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one yet. So, if there's a car I like, again, I don't care who's selling it. If I can buy it, I like to buy it. So we'll see what happens in the future on that. I know there's risk with every auction. Every auction has its thing you got to be careful with. And I go in there knowing that, and it's part of the game, I guess. But it should be, The one thing about like these online auctions, like I do a lot on Bring a Trailer selling. It's very transparent. I mean, it's like if you miss it, it's because your internet's down or you did wait till the last second. But there's the people that are bidding are the people bidding. There's no people bidding you up there. You have your minute. It's clock ticking down. No one's going to short the clock, So I just had a car end a little while ago, a few hours ago, and it did way more than I thought it was going to do. And a car yesterday, same thing. And so I don't know if that's the future of where this is all going. I know people love the live events, but you can see right there. The internet is pretty cool too, because it's like you really get to know what you're buying, and selling. Where that Lincoln, for instance, I know nothing about that car. I can tell you one thing: the car had a tick in the motor when it was going up on the stage. I just kind of know those things have bad lifters or the sticky lifters or rods on them that cause that. I know the fix to fix them. It's a few, a couple grand, but I know that. But the average person doesn't, where this, it's explained, the history. And that's where I think the internet auctions lose. The internet auctions win because the live auctions, the history of the car gets lost. Like I buy cars at auctions. I don't know the history. Where did the car come from? What's the story on it? What's sometimes the stories will get me to buy a car more than the car. And that works in cases also for other people. So that's why I like the internet per se, is you can really get that story out there and really tell what works, what doesn't work, how does it drive, so on. So
yeah. On Bring a Trailer, is there closing a soft close?
Yeah, 2 minute soft close.
Okay.
So, I mean, it can drag out. I had a car, took an hour to end once. So
wow.
People just
and if
went
anybody
back and forth.
if anybody doesn't know what a soft close is, eBay is going to be starting, I hope not, but starting to do soft close, which is on an auction at the end of the specified time. If a bidder bids at that time, they let it run down. And if somebody else bids, it pushes the clock back 2 minutes. It's different with different online auctions and things, but the soft close is all set up in their bidding information. It tells you how long it's going to be.
So one thing I did want to mention too is, again, just in John and myself, in our initial discovery of what was going on here and with Mecum, I took it upon myself to email Mecum to see what kind of a response we could get. I want to read that email to you guys so that everybody knows, what was said. I basically wrote, "Dear Sir or Madam, I have a question regarding when a vehicle specifically ends on the auction block. Is it when the hammer comes down or when the auctioneer says sold? I witnessed a recent car get quote unquote sold when the auctioneer both hammered the gavel and said sold, then continued to take more bids, then selling it to a different bidder for more money. This has me confused. Looking forward to your reply." And as of the recording of this podcast, I have not received a response back, nor do I likely anticipate getting a response other than a generic reply email from that. But we will keep you guys posted. And just to see, I mean, we kind of know what the answer likely is going to be, is it's going to be whatever they want to do. But at the end of the day, it's easy to get heated in the moment. Because, if you're in the car business, like myself, like Bobby, like John has been in the years past, it's easy to get caught up. It's easy to be, in the hype and the excitement of a fast paced auction that's going on. And when things don't quite go your way, a couple of things are going on in your head. One is, what the hell just happened? Two, if Bobby was willing to spend more money on that car, he probably would have had the bidding continued on a regular back and forth. But it skipped a heartbeat there for a moment or two. And when he thought he won, your mind changes. You're in a different mindset. I won that car. I'm done. And then all of a sudden there's 2 or 3 more bids and you're like, what the heck is going on? So it's different. It's so fast paced. Things happen so quickly. Even though, Bobby, you said that, it was drawn out trying to get those bids, but once that actually got there, it happened very quickly. and you don't have time to react. And when you do, and when you feel wronged, it's easy to react the way that you did and be upset. As again, like I said, I would be too, and I've been there. Certainly not at the caliber of a classic car. We're talking, late model stuff on my end, but nevertheless, a lesson learned. You've got to. There's something you got to take away. I don't know what that takeaway is yet, Bobby. You probably don't even at this point either. But what advice would you have to give to somebody, whether they are a seasoned car collector, buyer, seller, or somebody that's just jumping into this? What do you think would be the advice that you could give to them to help prepare them for some of these, well, shitty situations that may just happen to pop up?
Oh man, that's a good question. I guess I'll start with, one thing I do, like someone did ask me recently, I'm just skip that. I'm going to come back to that question. Somebody asked me, what are you looking to get out of this? I'm like, I'm just looking to get the games to stop, like be more, like just stop playing games with people, I guess. And that's with some of these auction companies, and be more, integrity, have more integrity in what you do, because I see so many games getting played. But just be aware, going back to your question, is just be aware of what's going on around you. Stand up for yourself. And if something like this happens, and I think it happens a lot, I think I just got lucky enough to get it on film, personally, because I've heard some stories. I've heard a lot of people come out with me, a lot of stories about different stuff that goes on, with them, their experiences. But yeah, I guess I don't have a particular, but just be aware, just don't, some people, I've heard people will sit in the back, but I like sit on front. I like watching the audience, because that's going to tell you the story. Don't watch the auctioneer, watch the audience, and don't bid too fast. Like I like to slow momentum down when I'm bidding. So, because when they get the momentum fast and everything, that's when that's when you get taken advantage of as a buyer. So
Yeah. So your takeaway is stop, look, listen. It's like waiting for a train.
Yeah, and then slow momentum down. They'll try to get $5,000 hammers. I mean, that's what their goal is, to get you up fast. But I like to take it down. Like if they're at 5, come down to trying to ask 55,000. I say, well, 51, and I'll slow it down. And sometimes they don't even want to take my bid, but if I'm the only real bidder, they will take it. So, and that's one thing of being with a live auction. Being there is a big difference than being at a live auction sitting at your computer at home, because you can't slow the auction down. You're kind of stuck what they're asking for on the computer. So
I was talking to someone else, and I said, do you think that your situation will implement not having personal recording devices at any auction?
I've actually heard that same thing also. I don't know. I think that would, if they do that, then they're definitely hiding what they're doing, I think that's crazy, because people want to record their experience. I mean, some people, it's like, they're buying their dream car. They want to get pictures of it and video of it and this whole experience. You can't tell them they can't do that. Then what's the point of having an auction?
In a lot of cases, people aren't recording to catch anything.
Yeah, I'm not recording to catch anything. By experience, that's what I was trying to catch.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about. As a car dealer, same as you, Bobby, we know crazy things go on at auctions. They're trying to get bids that may not be there. They try and make you bid against yourself. I do a lot of internet bidding. So when it starts going fast paced, and you can see that it's a floor bidder or that it's an online bidder, when it's you in the floor, yeah, I can slow that down a bit, because I don't know if I'm bidding against myself and there's just someone there clicking, the auctioneer's tapping the girl on the shoulder at the computer to take that next bid, and you're bidding yourself. Whereas if it's you and another online bidder, you can see those numbers flip-flopping back and forth. And it's the same thing at a live auction. You can see you, and you can see Buddy over there waving his hand or nodding his head or whatever, like you said, getting control of that situation. If there's any takeaway here today with this conversation, is simply be aware. You are in charge of your bidding. The auction is in charge of selling. They don't always coincide at the same time, unfortunately. So, Bobby, it was really good to hear your side of the story, get that experience, but also to teach our listeners that when you see something online that may be just a quick little, 30 or 45-second video, there's more to that story. And that's what we wanted to approach here today on this podcast, was to give you an opportunity to tell your whole side of the story, not just get that little snippet, and in hopes that maybe we'll get a resolution to this and why they did what they did. Do they have a good reason? Probably not, other than auction companies being auction companies. But at the end of the day, we would love to be able to have them tell their side of the story. We invite them to do so. Chances are it probably not going to happen. But anyways, Bobby, thank you so much for taking some time to talk with us today. Is there anything else that you want to add to this before we get out of here?
No, just follow my channels and stuff, and check out what I'm doing. I'm always buying cars. If you don't want to send it to an auction, send it over. And I have some cool stuff I'm working on. So yeah, just follow me. That's all I'm asking. So that'd be awesome.
There you go, folks. If you want to go over and follow Bobby Adams World, he's got lots of social media links listed there. Looks like he's on Reddit, he's on YouTube, all the social medias under the same name. And you can go over there, follow him, see what it is that he does. Very interesting guy, very interesting story, and he's got lots of great stuff over there for you guys to check out, so make sure you do so.
Are you ready to get out and drive in 2025? Get those cars on the road on October 5th, 2025 to celebrate National Get Out and Drive Day. Visit nationalget.out.drive.podcast for more info. Connect with us on social media. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Follow us on X at Get.Out.N.Drive.Pod. Speed over to our friends at racingjunk.com and place your free classified ad on the world's #1 racing and performance marketplace. Cruise on over to our website, Get.Out.N.Drive.com, for all the info you never wanted to know about our podcast. Hit us up on our listener hotline, be the first to know what's happening, get industry news, and grab your Get Out and Drive merch.
What drives you?